Hi guys and welcome back to Macaroon. It's been ages since I filmed myself, so I thought I'd come and say hi, especially for all the new subscribers. In this video, I'll show you 4 trendy DIY gift ideas, many of which you can't find in shops. But before we get started, a big thanks to Fiends for sponsoring this video.
This is a puzzle adventure game where you solve thousands of fun levels and collect cute characters called Fiends. So I've been playing Fiends for over 5 years and I absolutely love this game. The puzzles are super satisfying to solve and I've become quite emotionally attached to my favorite Fiends. For instance, Jojo and Napoleon have been with me for over 900 levels. I always play this before going to bed because I find the music very calming and it clears my mind perfectly from the stress of that day. I also love playing Fiends on holiday because it works without Wi-Fi, so it's the perfect thing for passing time if you have slow hotel internet. Since I've had this game for so long, I'm constantly amazed at all the new things that keep coming out for it. There are loads of side quests, seasonal specials, fun collectibles, and special editions of Fiends. Fiends is free to download and play, and remember it's written just like Friends but without the R. Be sure to use my link below and you can get $5 worth of gold and energy for free if you reach level 5. Gold is really useful in the game, so I think this is an amazing deal. So now without further ado, let's begin with our DIYs. This first idea was inspired by a 3D printed bottle cap that I posted onto TikTok and it just went hilariously viral. I realized that you can probably make a customized version quite easily using air-dry clay. To get started, you'll need a plastic bottle cap and something to make holes in it, like a hand drill or a real drill. Then you need a small bit of clay, and this project is good for using up any scraps. It has to be air-dry clay though, because you don't want to bake this in the oven. And lastly, you'll need some acrylic paint or nail polish. Both of these have a waterproofing effect once dry, which is important for protecting your clay from moisture. This is a hand drill, which is typically used to make holes in resin pieces or chestnuts. It's like a screwdriver and you just rotate it to get the drilling effect. This is actually my first time trying one out and I was pleased how well it worked on the bottle cap. I started by making a tiny opening and then I widened it with a scalpel. Next, I'm brushing some white glue all over the cap to help the clay stick. Depending on your brand of air-dry clay, this step might not be necessary, although I wanted to make sure. Start by covering the entire cap with a thin layer of clay like this. Smooth everything down and check there's nothing blocking the edge or the inside of the cap. Then poke the eyes open again and you can start adding details. I'm going with the cry laughing emoji, which I think has a great expression that fits perfectly with the morbidness of this bottle cap. Leave the clay to dry completely and now it's time to paint it. As mentioned earlier, it's important to use something that's water resistant when dry, and acrylic paint is the best option. Nail polish also works, but you won't be able to get a high level of detail. When painting emojis, the base color is actually a light orange and not pure yellow as you might assume. You can get this by adding red and brown to your yellow paint. Now just replace the lid on the bottle or carton of your choice and you can start pouring out the tears. If you're making this as a gift, then you can either supply the original container or make sure the person receiving it knows where to get it from. This is a novelty DIY, so even though the materials used are non-toxic, it's not designed for drinking from. I definitely recommend removing and drying the bottle cap each time you use it, which protects the clay from damage. Next up, we have a needle felt Dalgono. I think this is the perfect fusion of method and design because you get to stab out the shape with a felting needle. Dalgono, of course, is hugely popular right now, and in the real version, you also use the needle to poke the shape out of honeycomb candy. So to get started, you'll need a craft knife and melamine foam, which is a type of sponge. You can find this in the cleaning supply section of almost any supermarket. Then you'll need some yellow and brown felting wool and a felting needle. So first you want to cut out a thin slice of foam about 1 centimeter wide. Then you can cut out any shape you like, and I just traced out a circle for the Dalgono. This technique is actually featured in one of my very first tutorials for YouTube, but I realized loads of viewers might not have seen it. Using foam as a base for needle felting helps you save wool, and it also makes creating sharp edges much easier. This is also incredibly satisfying, which you can probably tell from the ASMR. If you can see any wide gaps or strands of loose wool, then you should just keep on felting until everything is nice and smooth. Now comes the fun part. Decide what shape you want to make and poke this out using your needle. Once you have a clear outline, you can make it darker by adding wisps of brown wool. I love how this mirrors the real game of Popkey, except you'll never be able to remove the shape. If you're making this as a gift to someone, then you can also use their initials for the central shape or personalize the design based on their interests. You could even package the Dalgono like I did here in a tin with a needle so they can try felting it themselves. The next gift idea is inspired by these viral bumper stickers from China. These are supposed to prevent door handles or cupboards from hitting the wall, but they're pretty funny to play with, just like this. You can make an easy DIY version using a craft knife, some melamine foam, a pink highlighter, sharp scissors, and basic drawing supplies. You can use up the leftover part of the melamine foam from the Dalgona or cut out a new piece. This time we only need the thicker side. Start by drawing out some peach or heart shapes like this and then cut them out. Then start trimming them until they become three-dimensional. I found these little scissors designed for cutting out paper silhouettes, and they worked really well for this part. Now start coloring the pieces with pink highlighter. You'll notice the surface doesn't look very nice at first, so you want to rub the ink into the foam using your fingers. This spreads the color out and turns it a nice pastel pink instead of neon. Once the ink is dried, it's not going to leave any stains when you squish it. For the next step, you can use pre-made sticker paper like this, or plain paper and double-sided tape. I'm personally not a huge fan of sticker paper because it's not ideal for drawing on and the paper quality is usually very thin and flimsy. I much prefer using proper drawing paper and then simply turning it into a sticker using tape. Start by tracing out the outline of the foam. Then draw around this to create any character you like. Most of these stickers have a cute animal looking backwards, so I'm obviously going to go with a koala. The coloring method is entirely up to you. If you're using colored pencils, then be sure to layer multiple colors over each other. In this case, the yellow was far too pale, so I added orange and ochre on top. Now I'm repeating the same process for the cat and then cutting both characters out. The final step is gluing the peach butt squishies into place. These are cute and funny to play with, and of course you can use them as bumper stickers as well. If you're giving these as a gift, then you can customize the characters or even turn it into a chibi portrait of the recipient. The last DIY gift idea is an aesthetic face mask chain. This style of whimsically cute bead jewelry is really trendy this year. The good thing is they're very easy to find and pretty cheap as well. You can get entire sets like these along with alphabet beads for personalizing your pieces. Then you'll need some findings, and these are two clasps that I removed from bracelets that I no longer wear. You'll also need a needle, some elastic thread, and jewelry pliers. I'm going to use a big eye needle, which is easier to thread, but any type should work. If you have really chunky beads, then you might not need a needle at all since you can just thread them on by hand. I'm going to use this bag of pastel heart beads, and it looks instantly more aesthetic when sorted into a rainbow. I also added smaller beads in between to push out the length. Start by tying a knot firmly onto the clasp, but leave enough thread on the end. A key part of making bead jewelry is hiding the thread, which makes the final piece look more professional. You can do this by threading the open end back into the bead chain like this. Go far enough up the chain so the thread won't fall out, then tie a few more knots and trim the end. Now continue with the rest of your beads until you have your desired length. Then thread on the clasp and insert the end back up the chain like before. This time I'm going even further up just to make sure the thread won't come loose. I'm tying my knot between the blue and purple beads, and now our mask chain is finished. To be honest, the only difference between this and a necklace are the clasps. This one works by using both lobster clasps to hold onto the straps of your mask. This is a cool accessory when you're wearing the mask, and it also keeps it in place when you have it off. So I hope you enjoy these DIYs and feel free to adapt or customize them as gift ideas. Be sure to check out Best Fiends as well, which is seriously the best game against boredom. Just click on my link below to download and play for free. I'm Joanna, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!